Yes. It happened. The fucking takeover, ladies and gentlemen. Teofimo Lopez beat Vasily Lomachenko tonight on ESPN on Top Rank Boxing. Thank fucking God it happened. So I can gloat. So I can yell at Foogatti's face. I can yell at Gary's face and yell at Rob's face. I called it. Fucking takeovers here, ladies and gentlemen. Now I'm going to be obnoxious all show, so get ready. But yes, we're going to get into all of it, get into the card itself. Also, in the second half of the show, I will break down the win by Brian Ortega versus Korean Zombie at UFC Fight Night, UFC Fight Island over there in Abu Dhabi. So we're going to take care of all of your combat sports needs and wants tonight. Don't worry. And like I said, let me go to my wonderful wrong ass co-hosts who were wrong. Foogatti and Gary in Dallas. First up, let's go to Gary first because he was less wrong than Foogatti. Gary, how are you, man?
Matt has all the right in the world to be pumped up today. His Los Angeles Dodgers forced a Game 7 down 3-1. They're going to the fight. Was there a fight today? Was it any good?
Spoiler, Gary. The game.
The game was on this afternoon. It was probably started at noon your time.
Gary, I didn't record the game. I didn't watch the game. No,
because you're not a Dodgers fan either.
I'm a baseball fan.
Who's going? Because the game's in Texas. It's in Arlington.
Oh yeah, he can go.
Yeah. No, look, that was a great fight. I don't think the judges were wrong at all. I think the judges' cards were. Two of them were completely on the mark, bullseye, and the third was less wrong than Andre's card was wrong. Teofimo Lopez won that fight. Like, there's no question about it. 8-4, 9-3 is about right. Loma had some moments, but Lopez had more moments in almost every round. I'd say there's 2 rounds that Loma won clearly, and then there's probably 2 more you can make a good argument for him. But
we're gonna get into it, Gary. Don't worry, relax. Okay, take it. We'll get into it all. Okay. Foogatti in Dallas, the biggest Loma stand that there is. Captain of the Loma stands on Twitter, actually, at Loma stands on Twitter if you want to find them. Foogatti, I mean, I know I FaceTimed you after the amazing win, and you were crying, of course. I know that's made up, but in my story, that happened.
I'm not a big enough fan to be that much worried about this. It was a good fight. One team had a better plan. You can't throw away 5 rounds and expect to win a boxing match. You know, like, especially because Lopez waited out the 11th round and then came heavy in the 12th round and made it a harder, I think, decision for me. Like, I had Lopez winning the fight, but I had him winning it
7-5.
7-5. Yeah,
like me. I had a 7-5.
Yeah, I thought Loma from the 7th round on was amazing.
8.
And I think he should have put more pressure on Lopez in the 11th round. I think there was too many moments where he could have went to the body, but he didn't because he was afraid of the counter punching from Lopez. And I just don't think he's a 135-pounder. I think he's done an amazing job at 135. He's over excelled from what you would expect someone that's probably 100. Like, the highest he fought in the Olympics was 132 pounds. So, I mean, you got to eventually, you're going to meet your match. And let's be real. Lopez mind fucked him. Like, that's like when, Triple G Canelo 2, when Triple G was like, oh, he just ran the whole fight. And then Canelo came out in the second fight and put it on Triple G the entire time and never really backed up. So it's just like that game plan they were not ready for. And that's odd to me because Loma's team has always been a step ahead of everyone. So
I love the excuses already.
No excuses. It's the fucking breakdown of the fight.
Loma's too small. Loma, for some reason, didn't game plan because, it's not like he's one of the greatest boxing minds of our day and his coach is not one of the best trainers in the game. They just didn't game plan for him.
I didn't say they didn't game plan. I said they got out game planned.
I want to get into the size thing because I actually agree with Foogatti on that. Like, if Floyd Mayweather would have stayed at 154, you think he would have picked off all those bigger guys? No, someone would have beat him. right? I think Foo's got a point. We'll get to that later, but I think Foo's right about that. He's too small for the weight class.
Loma started at what, 122?
26, I think, right?
I don't think he ever fought at 122 as a pro. He fought at 126.
Yeah.
So 126 to 135, that's 9 pounds. Oscar De La Hoya started his career at 130.
Oscar De La Hoya is a bigger guy. Loma's small, like he's small.
Again, he started at 130 and moved all the way up to 160, dude.
But Loma can't even put on weight. Like Loma can't even put on weight. Look at him. He's like not even cut at 135.
You can't hire a nutritionist?
He's not cut at 135.
Dude, he's the same height as T.O.
He's a different frame.
He's only 3 inches different in the frame. What are you talking about?
Are they just really the same height?
My friend,
5'8", 5'7", yes.
My friend Sammy was a running back in high school. I'm 3 inches taller than him. He weighs the same weight as me, and he's about 2 times my fucking size.
Loma was a 3 belt holder in the division. Stop the excuses, man. Like, I'm serious.
There's no excuses.
Dude, the fact that the first thing you said about how this fight ended or how it looked was, oh, Loma was just undersized for the division instead of, no, T.O. backed up the better guy, bullied him all fight, outfought him, outsmart him, outfeinted him. He did everything better than Lomachenko. Okay, he had underrated defense throughout. Okay, his boxing IQ was underrated. I mean, that's what led to Tifimo winning, not because he was magically bigger. It doesn't matter. Lomachenko. Let me finish, please. Lomachenko was a 2.
Finish your lies.
2. Is this a lie? Did he win?
Yeah, you're lying. You're misconstruing what I'm saying.
Did Lomachenko win 2 Olympic gold medals?
Absolutely.
Has he won the pound for pound?
And what has everyone said about gold medals? They don't matter in professional sports, right?
Okay. No. I'm sorry. It's not the size. He got outboxed.
But it was the size when it was Rigo.
Dude, Loma outboxed Rigo the whole time. What are you talking about?
But everyone said it was the size.
Second of that fight that Rigo won. Loma outboxed him. Had nothing to do with the fucking size. Yeah, Loma outboxed him every second of that fight. What happened here?
Loma won fucking 5 rounds.
The whole time.
Not the whole time.
Except for 4 fucking rounds.
No, not 4 rounds.
Wait,
5 rounds.
2.
5 rounds.
Come on, man.
2.
Come on.
And the first round, like, look,
Lopez
I'm never going to give anyone, like, huge accolades for a first fucking round. It's a fill-out round. He landed, like, 3 shots or something in the first round.
Lopez won the battle of the jabs with the pound-for-pound matrix, a reincarnation of fucking Muhammad Ali.
Lopez is really good.
Lopez is really good. We're talking about, he's undersized? No! He's a Hall of Famer.
Everyone's always said he's undersized for 135.
He's not past the hill. He got beat. Own it.
He got beat, but that doesn't mean that the other thing is not true. He's always been undersized for
135.
I'm not saying that's not true, but I'm saying it's not important. What led to Loma losing the fight overall was not the size difference.
It's exactly what I said. That Lopez had a better game plan. They did not come out like Loma expected. They expected him to come out like a young, entitled, hot-headed kid and throw a bunch of wild-ass punches. And he didn't do that. I understand that. But then like I said, because he had been nearly starched by Linares, he knew he could get caught and the fight would end. So the fact of the matter is he never opened up like he wanted to, and he couldn't adapt because he was too afraid because he's undersized. He doesn't have the same power as Lopez.
No. It wasn't the size that made Loma freeze. It wasn't. It was the feint. It was the jab. It was all the boxing ability of Tifimo Lopez. It was not the size.
Yes, and he cut off the angles. He did a fucking fantastic job. I'm not taking anything away from Lopez.
But
I had him winning.
Foo.
You act like I had my scorecard like 9-2.
No, come on, man. Come on. The literal first thing you said was an excuse. Oh, Loma's too small for the division. That's the first thing you said was a blanket statement that Loma's too small for the division. He can't hang with these guys, even though he won 3 fucking belts in the division. Come on, man. That's bullshit. That should be the last thing mentioned. You know why? Because it's the least important.
Sure.
That's what I'm saying.
I agree with both of you. I do think I said that against Campbell. I said that against Lawrence. I said it against Pedraza. I said he's too small for the division. That being said, he got outboxed. He got outboxed.
And
No
that's
doubt.
the thing.
And you shouldn't, in a 12-round fight, you should not give away 7 rounds.
He didn't give away 7.
He gave away the
first 5. He didn't do anything.
First 6.
First 7.
Except for that.
He tried to pick it up in the 7th. I still scored the. Okay, he gave away 6 in a 12-round fight. That means you need to score a knockdown and win the rest of the rounds against the guy who's beating you. Oh, look, and he did good. I gave him the 8th, the 10th, and the 11th.
He did not give away the rounds. They were taken away.
Good. That's good. Yeah.
They were taken away by Teofimo Lopez's ability.
He's always a slow starter, and Tio never gave. There was never like an opening because Tio was prepared for the movement.
Dude,
like
he needs Lomachenko create the opening.
No, yeah, absolutely. But there are look, Lopez shined in a way that most people tried to take away from him. Everyone was like, he's just a power puncher.
Yeah.
But when you see Loma try to do his step to the right and Lopez just easily dip out every single time, and he never gave Loma his angles. So, at that point, Loma has nothing except for to come straight forward. And at that point, he's just going to get wrecked like he did in the 12th round. Like, he nearly probably got stopped in the 12th round. Luckily, Loma can take a fucking punch because he got hit pretty flush a few times. But I couldn't believe he stayed up.
He did have a lot of success, though, in the 8th, 9th, and 10th round, especially, right? And what he did there is what he should have been doing from rounds 4, 5, and 6, right? And I do think it was, to some degree, not majorly, I do think Teofimo Lopez's ability to sort of take away the game plan of Lomachenko was a factor. But to some degree, it was just a miscalculation by Lomachenko to start so late.
Yep.
But he had to start so late because Teofimo Lopez was outboxing him. Like you mentioned, like Gary mentioned, the fact that he won the battle of the jabs, I think it was so funny because Gary, I know you didn't, you weren't on the show, Foo, but I think you listened to it. I know Gary mentioned the battle of the jabs and how traditionally Lopez doesn't throw jabs, and this should be a battle that Loma wins quite easily, and therefore sets up his offense, and he just didn't do that. And I thought that was for some reason interesting because I don't have it really figured out yet why Loma just conceded that battle or gave it up or just was taken away so easily, because it was such an easy battle for Lopez to win for some reason.
Well, I think as much as everyone was worried about Lopez getting overly hyped about who he is and his power and relying too much on it, I think Loma got pretty complacent going into this fight as far as he's I'll take him to deep waters and I'll drown him. I don't think he expected Lopez to be able to, after the 5-6 rounds, to move and do everything he was still doing, because most people start breaking down and falling apart on Loma. But Lopez obviously proved he's very mentally tough. He's a great boxer. He showed things in that fight. We always say it's about the dance partner, who brings out the true nature of the fighter. And Loma brought out absolutely the best in Lopez because he had to be the best. He had to do things he's never had to do in the ring before. And it was awesome to see.
No, Lopez is completely tested now. Chin tested,
for sure.
bow tested, cardio tested. He passed, I think, with as pretty much the flying colors. I mean, the only other way you can get it is if an early knockout, right? But even then, I think we wanted more than that. We wanted him to go deep waters with Loma and see his complete game plan or a complete skill set, and we saw that. I don't know if you guys want to stay on this fight still or go to what's next for Loma or what's next for Lopez. But up to Gary, I don't know if you want to jump in.
Yeah, I want to stay on this fight because I wanted to get into the scorecards too.
Of course.
First off,
pull yours out, guys. Pull your scorecard out.
I texted mine to y'all in the group chat. My phone's
Oh
charging.
yeah, I should have made mine better, but I was intently watching the fight and not typing on my phone.
I had it 116, 112 because I was generous. I was texting one of my good friends.
Generous, get out of here.
Who I used to work with in New York, was a broker, and he's a big fight fan. And he said there's no way that Lopez won the fifth. Loma won the 5th round. So I should have had it 7-0 after 7.
Yeah, I didn't give Loma the 5th round.
No,
I was nice enough to give Loma 1 round. So I had it 8-4. When 9-3 is probably the right scorecard.
I had it 5-1 going into the 6th round.
agreed. And I only gave Loma the 2nd round. Right, it was the 2nd round.
Because of the the left hand? One shot?
Yeah, I mean, that was just a cleaner shot.
He landed a few left hands.
Yeah, he landed 2 at least in that round.
And it wasn't the same round. I think it was the 3rd round that was like that, where like Loma landed 2 left hands, but Lopez landed 2 or 3 really good right hands, and that canceled
and a body shot that
Lopez didn't really land a lot in the 2nd round. That was a round he kind of, I think, was adjusting to. Again, more of a feel-out process, similar with the 1st round to a degree. But yeah, I gave Loma that round. The 5th round, I don't think you can give him in terms of Loma. The 7th, I know a lot of people have been giving him. I didn't give Loma that round. I don't see what they saw. I thought he was still catching up to Lopez. But from the 8th round all the way to the 11th round, that's Loma. Like, Loma took over the fight. He was heading towards either taking it back, creating a draw, whatever he was doing. And honestly, there was times where he was hurting Lopez to a degree. He never like wobbled him per se or knocked him down, of course. But he was catching him flush with shots, making Lopez really shell up at times. And I think, again, sort of how we called it on the previous show, Gary, Loma's best work offensively and defensively is when he's coming forward and in the pocket. Always. When he's in that groove, he is one of the best. Except in the 12th round, I think Lopez just had that fire lit under him, in terms of that dog in him, and he came out strong and just didn't stop. You can tell he was tired. You can tell he was a little bit wary at the end of that 12th round, but he was just pushing Loma forward. I didn't hear what his dad told him in between the 11th and the 12th round, but I was yelling at my TV. I haven't done that in some time, by the way. I was yelling at my TV, just walk forward, just press Loma backwards, because Loma going backwards clearly just wasn't comfortable unleashing his offense.
Go ahead.
No, I just wanted to jump in and say, like, what Lopez did really well and what I really liked is that he sat on the 11th round. Like, I think he knew if he could weather the 11th round and not really do much, he could give that round up. And then what's really impressive is his dad tried to get in his head and say, you got this fight won, just go out there. I hate when corner people do that. And I love a fighter who goes out and says, no, I'm a fighter. I don't feel like I got this in the bank. I'm not putting this in the judge's hands. Like, I'm going to try to end this fight. And like, he went out and did what he needed to do in the 12th round. And so I didn't give Loma the 7th round. I think I gave him the 6th, 8th, 9th, second. So 5, 2nd, 6th, 8th, 9th, 10th, 11th. No, I didn't give him the 6th. 2nd, and then 8 through 11, right? Yeah. So, because I think in the 2nd, he had a really good combination, and he kind of backed Lopez up a little bit, which he hadn't done in the first one. And then the next few rounds, Lopez just, I was impressed. I was not expecting, like I told you guys in text on the before it started, I never saw Lopez beating him on the cards. I think that
I'm so glad that you mentioned that, because I'm like, dude, watch. He's going to beat him on the cards.
Yeah, you said it'd be funny if he wins a decision. I'm like, never going to fucking happen.
I mean, the only way I could see it if he scores like 3 knockdowns. You know what I'm saying? I was kind of...
No one saw this coming.
No
one.
No.
Because I think
greatness.
Also, what's awesome about Teofimo, right, is he played up the power, right? He kept saying shit like, it's going to end before 3. I'm going to knock him out before 3. This ain't going to go the whole time. And then came in with the game plan of a 12-round fight. Like, he came in to fight and win on the cards. Like, he came in to, like, take everything away from Loma and win on points and look for if there was an opening ending the fight.
Mm-hmm.
That's crazy to me, because
I thought he didn't capitalize on moments where he should have. Like, I thought
when he had him against the ropes and he was getting good body shots in, I thought he could have done way more work there, but he backed himself out, calmed down, and took back control of the fight. Which was
even, like, I
crazy.
thought he could have taken that right hand up earlier, to be honest. Like, he spent a lot of time going to the body with the right hand, which is a setup to an overhand right. And he never really, I think, focused on, like, to a degree, headhunting. But there were certain points where I thought he should have just kept firing the right hand to a degree. 1-2s, hook, just keep firing that right hand, because that was bothering Loma more than anything. More than the body shots, more than the jab. It was that right hand down the pipe the hook, the uppercut. That shot was the shot that definitely was the worrying shot from Loma's side.
What was awesome too is there was a moment where Loma first tried, maybe like the 4th or 5th round, he tried to do that step around, and Lopez caught him. Like as soon as he went to like kind of jump slide around him, like he'd do and pivot, Lopez just caught him with a quick left hook to the body. And at that point, it was like Loma knew like some of my shit's not going to work against this kid. He's better than we thought. I think there was like a realization early that this kid's faster than I thought. He's smarter in the ring than I thought. Like he's not falling for all this shit.
I saw the same thing. Like Loma usually breaks you down mentally, and I don't know if it was just he's too young and too arrogant. Like he doesn't know better yet. Like he doesn't know how to lose. He doesn't like.
He's
but
20
like,
years old.
right after the second round, when Loma landed those 2 left hands, I was like, okay, we're gonna get going now, right?
Yeah.
And it's just like, and it was the 3rd round and the 4th round and the 5th, and nothing's really changed. And I'm like, Lopez is already on the point of the scorecard, which is going to take a miracle for Loma. I mean, I don't look if Loma gets started earlier, he could get knocked out, right? It did look like during the 11th round, Des Bryant, my boy, tweeted out, "Lopez is done." Right?
Yeah.
And it looked that way too. I was like,
yeah.
I have it on my code where Lopez just has to stay on his feet. I don't know what the judges had, but I don't know if he's going to make it all 12 rounds. And then he came out on fire in the 12th round and closed it out like a champion.
Yep.
I was worried that Lopez was going to get knocked out and stopped, or at least floored a couple times in the 12th, and that could change things. But he came out and he fought great in the 12th round.
That was a championship level, like 12th round there from Lopez.
I mean, it was an amazing fight for like both guys because
especially in the back.
I think, like Loma, you can hate him all you want, but the dude's a fucking stud. Like he took a lot. Oh, I'm not salty. You guys are so funny. Well, I love it. I love it because like most people wouldn't even show up for this shit because when their guy loses, they just like fall off the face of the earth because they don't want to get like fucking talked to about it. But realistically, like it's fucking boxing, and we saw a great fight, and Lopez fought his fucking ass off. What does it matter? Like it's good for the sport. Like the reason that, like these fights don't happen is because of shit like this. Because everyone's there's gonna be all these Loma was overhyped and blah blah blah, and he never was that great. You're gonna see it all online, and the fans of boxing are complete garbage 99% of the time. That's why we never see these fights.
No, if you keep the narrative of this was a coming out performance for Tifon Lopez, then I don't think it really like says too much about Loma and his career. I think Loma has a Hall of Fame career, pound for pound level guy, and he's still like, maybe we'll get into it later. Like he can still win belts, like he lost.
I think he'll go down and dominate in other weight classes.
He lost by a round or two. And most people's scorecards, not the actual judges, because they had it like 119, which is fucking.
I told y'all at the beginning of the fight
that the judges
are trash, and I knew Weisfeld and Letterman's daughter, Julie Letterman. There was no way Loma, with his style, was going to win on that scorecard, right? Because they should score for the aggressor. I knew that coming in, right? So I was like, that's interesting.
119, 109. That's fucking criminal.
That was Julie
That's
Letterman.
A criminal card.
Scores just like her dad. If you come forward, you win the round, period.
If this was HBO, I'd be like, oh, we knew what they wanted, but it's ESPN. That's not as much, right?
And then what was Weisfeld, the 117? Who had the 117, 111 card?
That's Weisfeld.
Yeah.
That's the least. That's the second least.
Like 116, 112, I could see no problem. Like there's some swing rounds.
Oh, I can see 116. I don't agree with it.
I don't either, but I could see it, right? I could see it. I just 119, 109. You're saying that one of the best boxers of his time, possibly ever, skill-wise, got beat every round except for like one.
That would be the 11th, I would imagine.
The issue is that rounds 8 to 11. There's no way you give Lopez any of those rounds because he got scored up in those rounds.
I thought he won the 10th.
You thought
he was getting hit, but he was also landing shots. It wasn't like he was.
But he was getting hit cleaner with combinations. He was backing up, and Loma was the aggressor in those rounds.
You can't get to 11-1. You can get to 10-2 because Loma absolutely won the 8th and the 11th. Every other round, Lopez did good work, and you can make an argument for him.
No.
And you're always going to have swing rounds in the first 4. There's no fight you watch where everyone clearly agrees on like 1 through 4. Like, because it's fill out rounds. There's not a lot of punches landed. You've got to really look at like who did the most damage or whose face doesn't have the best poker face. And that's one thing about Lopez. He doesn't have a good poker face. But he's getting caught with those shots. You could see they were hurting him. Like later in the rounds, like he was visibly shaken by like a few of those combinations. And you could see like he's like not enjoying that.
Yeah, I think the power of Loma, I think it surprises people because he looks like pretty effortless. Right? It's like a pitcher who looked like he's not putting much into it. And then you look at the gun and it says 98. It's like, whoa, right? Like Loma just kind of like throws shots. It doesn't look like he's loading up on him. And I think when he hits you with it, you're like, whoa, that's got more pop on it than I think. Because the left hand in the second round, the first shot he landed clean, Lopez didn't like it at all.
I don't think we'll see Loma at 135 again, unless it's a rematch with Lopez. And I think Lopez wins the rematch. But I mean,
more impressively too. Yeah,
probably more impressively. He knows what Loma has to offer. He'll just come harder the next time, you know. Yeah. I just don't think that. I think Loma's too afraid of the power that Lopez has. Like he's afraid. It's one of because it's one of those things, right? It's like the Fury Wilder fights. It's like you can be perfect for the entire fight, but the one moment that you slip up, it ends. You know, like.
But the second fight, Tyson Fury like bulldozed Wilder.
Yeah, but Lopez is way better than Wilder. Lopez. What I mean is like it's in your mind. You understand that you have to fight a perfect fight, and the other guy has a lot of ways. Like he can mess up a lot, but he has one major way to win, and it's getting caught one time.
I'll be honest. I think this might be a little bit of a hot take. I think Lopez's power is a little bit overrated, and his boxing skill, especially before tonight, was extremely underrated. I don't think he's like the heaviest hitter that we've seen, especially in.
Well, they said that though. Who said that? Someone said they fought with him since he was like 6 years old, and that he was never known for having a lot of pop.
The power is like Roy Jones's power. It's not like, but the lightning quick angles he can throw things from, right, makes it more powerful than. You know what I'm saying?
It's like Linares' power. It's like a lot of flash knockdowns because you didn't see it coming. But like the thing is, Loma was skilled enough and had enough time in the ring that like the uppercuts were just kind of hitting him in the shoulder versus the chin because he would get just enough out of the way, or the glove where he would barely kind of like glance off the glove. Like a lot of people are going to get hit by that uppercut though. I mean, they're not going to have the same, like, no, not a lot of people have like 420 fights in their life, you know, like, I mean, like realistically. And I guess to like transition to what they're going to do. I mean, Lopez is going to take over the division, dude. There's no one in the division that's going to be able to beat him, I don't think. I mean, I think Haney has a good opportunity. I like Haney. I think he's really good, but I still think Lopez now is more battle tested. He just beat Lomachenko.
The one that would be really interesting that could outbox him, obviously, is Tanahara. Right? I don't know if that can stay for promotional reasons.
No, look, we have people that have never watched the show before. Gary, we're not doing that bit. We're not doing that bit.
No, you know, I've always said Teofimo Lopez is the best guy in the weight class, and then Tanahara's the next best.
It's not true. Okay, we're gonna stay in reality, not flat Earth land over there. I'll be honest.
Have you ever
I'll be honest. Hold on. There is, I know I'm gonna get hate for this, especially from you, Fu. The fight that I'm really curious about in this division is Teofimo Lopez versus Gervonta Davis, to be quite honest. Especially if Gervonta Davis stays at 135, if he actually established himself in this division, I think he would be a more interesting threat to Teofimo Lopez than people like Devin Haney, George Kambosos Jr., Ryan Garcia, even. You know, like there's even the young guys that I like. I like Ryan Garcia. You guys know this. I don't think he's going to be a threat right now to Teofimo Lopez. But let's say Gervonta Davis goes out there and blows out Leo Santa Cruz. I wouldn't mind that being a fight we talk about more. To be quite honest.
I mean, dude, talk about the fight all day long, but I don't think that I don't think Gervonta has what it would take to beat Lopez. If he fights that same fight against Gervonta, he'd be fine.
No,
because he would just control the ring.
I don't think he beats Teofimo. I don't think that.
Yeah.
But I do think from a style perspective, he would present a lot of interesting sort of issues for Teofimo Lopez because it's somebody else that presents a lot of power, a lot of great boxing ability as well. And I don't think people like Devin Haney has enough pop to beat Teofimo Lopez. I don't think Ryan Garcia has the skill to beat Teofimo Lopez. I don't think George Kambosos has the polish to beat Teofimo Lopez. You know, who else is there that we can?
I don't think anyone at 135 can.
Luke Campbell's not beating Teofimo Lopez.
Tank Davis, I think would be interesting, but I also see it like where what I see out of Lopez say that Lopez will just sit back and outbox him.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. I see a lot of people saying Haney, a lot of people saying Ryan Garcia as well.
Look, Haney is a less good version of Lopez.
I love our
Haney.
chat.
I think Haney's skills are not nearly as sharp. And I'm not knocking Haney. He's 21 years old, right? He'll be really good. He'll be a real world champion one day.
Yes.
His skills are not anywhere near as sharp right now as Teofimo Lopez's is.
No. And again, doesn't have the pop. Like,
yeah.
I know I just said like I kind of underrate or I think Teofimo Lopez's power is a little bit overrated, but he still has pop. But let's be honest here. And Haney doesn't really. Like he's not known for power.
Yeah, Haney's gonna break you down over time. It's kind of like Lopez, like Loma. The thing that that shocked me, and where I will 100% criticize Loma and his team, is if you are not going to actually try to win a fight and go out and actually fight, go back down and wait. Like if you're so afraid of the power of the people at the division, like the one thing I'll say about Floyd is like Floyd still had moments where he would never have given up 5 rounds. Like Floyd never would have just like gave up 5 rounds on somebody without even like they said Loma threw like 2-3 punches in some of the first 5 rounds. Like, no way.
Remember when that silly goose Dan Raphael said Loma was better than Floyd Mayweather? What a silly goose that guy is.
Like I'll be honest, I don't agree with anything you just said there, Foo.
Because here's what Mayweather would have done, right? He would have won the end of the round. Sorry, just real quick. This is what I'll say. He would have pulled the thing like a Sugar Ray Leonard where he would have hung out for 2 minutes or 2 minutes and 15 seconds and then had a bunch of flourishes at the end of the rounds to make it look like he was winning.
Like Whitaker would do. Whitaker would hang by the ropes, make you miss, and then flurry. Like
would not have given up 3 full fucking minutes. Yeah.
I feel like Floyd has definitely given up at least 4 rounds. So like to add another round to that, I feel like isn't too illogical to a degree.
I don't think he's given up more than 2, honestly. I mean, we can go back. Like Robert Guerrero, he gave away 2. But again, Guerrero is a different. I like Guerrero. I'm not dumping on Guerrero, but he's different. He's not Teofimo Lopez, right?
The issue isn't that Loma gave up 5 rounds. The issue is he gave up 7 rounds.
Yeah, like there were a lot of moments where he was not.
He got outboxed for 7 rounds.
Yeah,
by
like
guy.
And to me, like that was my point. Is like don't be at the weight if you're not gonna go out and give it everything that you've got, right? Like to me,
he does. He's a 3 belt holder, man. What?
I understand, but he did not fight the same in this fight. Like he was definitely afraid of Lopez. He was 100% afraid of Lopez.
He's afraid.
I want to comment on that. Right?
His pants. Come on, man.
Yeah, he probably did.
Loma gave away 7 rounds, right? Like, and Matt said it right in the beginning that Lopez took those rounds, right?
Yeah.
I think when you're used to being the better athlete, when you're the quicker guy, you can do what you want, and then all of a sudden you can't, right? And Mosley had this moment with Mayweather, like this guy is stronger and faster than me. I don't know I got nothing. Yeah. Right now, Loma figured things out after round 7, going to 8, 9, 10, 11, but I don't, he didn't know what to do. Like I can't just quick him out, be a better athlete than him, out athlete him. Like I can't do that. I don't know what to do. Right? It's like high school. I was a really good high school baseball player. I go to college. I can't hit these guys. Right? Like I can't turn your fastball, and then you throw a splitter in the dirt at me. I can't hit this. Like there's just nothing I can do. Like
comparing Loma to a high school baseball player is hilarious.
I wouldn't compare. I'm saying like it's just next level. It's like I don't know how to respond to this right now. Like
look, Loma can absolutely stay in this division, beat Teofimo Lopez in a rematch. He lost by a round or 2. People, he could absolutely win a rematch. He is a Hall of Fame pound for pound guy. He's won Olympic medals. Like this is an issue. On top of it, okay, because of the division's makeup, he is now the second best guy in the division. You know what I mean? It's not like he dropped so much. It's not like we don't think he can beat Haney, Ryan Garcia, George Kambosos, Richard Comey. Like, name people at
Every time you say Kambosos, I'm going to say Tanahara.
That's fine, but at least Kambosos has beat like people we know.
Are you part
Here's the thing,
Matt. What is with you and Kambosos? You love him.
I do.
He's just messing. He's just messing. Look, I don't think we see Loma at 135 again unless it's a rematch for all the belts. If he loses again, he'll fight at 126, 130 for the rest of his career. That's how I see it.
130, Miguel Burchell beats him into retirement.
No, I don't think so. I don't think so.
Style. That's a fight right there at 130 or 135. Santa Cruz. I'd like to see how he deals with Santa Cruz.
Josh Warrington versus Loma.
Yeah, it's a good fight because Warrington will just rough him the fuck up. You know, like that's the thing. Like Loma's really good, but not really good off the back foot. He doesn't really know how to. If like Lopez, I think could have knocked him out. There was spots where like he could have put more pressure on him, right?
Yeah, or at least got knocked down.
Yeah.
I think the winner of Burchell Valdez is a reasonable next fight for Loma, or at least probably gets a tune-up first. Let's be honest, he's taking a loss. But I'll be honest, I don't like the idea of him just leaving the division so fast. I think that's. I don't think it needs to happen, and B, it does devalue this win to some degree because it does feel like he is scared, or I'm not gonna use the term like Fook. I think that term's hilarious and ridiculous. It feels like maybe Loma views himself as too small for the division, but he's not. He's not too small for this division.
Here, let me rephrase it. Not scared, right? But there are, like, Teofimo came into this fight, right? And he said the reason that all these people quit on Loma and they gave him too much respect, they treated him like a god, and they came into the ring expecting to lose, right? Like, because he's too good. I think you build up someone's power and you build up someone's power and you build up someone's power, and then you can come in with way too much respect for that power. And you let yourself give up too many rounds like he did, thinking you could just run him out of steam. And then you have to like fight differently to try to come back from that. That's like a stupid plan.
No, I understand that way of thinking, to be honest. I still don't agree with it because, and here's why. If Loma had just lost the battle of the jab, but attempted to try to like engage in that battle, but just lost it, then I would kind of agree with you. But he never attempted to like fight that battle. You know what I mean? He was frozen by the feints. He was frozen by the ability of Teofimo Lopez to keep up with him in sort of a movement perspective. I think that is what led to Loma being frozen. Not the power so much, though that is maybe a factor. I will give you that. It is probably a factor to a degree. You know, at least being cautious, especially in the first few rounds, of a guy with extreme power that's knocked out a lot of people. I think that's obvious. But as the rounds went on, it was clear it wasn't a power issue per se. Because Lopez at that time had landed a few shots, and it wasn't like you could tell that, oh, the power was so different, right? It was the fact that he could not keep up with that battle of the jab. Plain and simple. Or at least, for some reason, he felt like he could avoid that battle and he could get around it, but he couldn't. He conceded that battle or just purely lost it. Yeah. And that is what happened. I understand your argument. I don't think it's completely wrong, especially with the way you reframed it. I just don't think it's as much of a factor. Same with size, right? In terms of like the weighted scale of how we got here, this multi-factored system as to how we got here, right? Weight, size, power, yes, those were factors in this fight. Were they the biggest factor? No, because I think rounds 8 through 11 show that Loma could contend with the power and the size of Lopez. He just got outboxed, mainly.
Do you think that this is going to change the perspective for some of these other guys on Lopez where they were like, oh man, like he's a one-hitter quitter guy, and then he hits Loma with pretty much everything he's got and had some clean shots land and never even got a knockdown? Do you and obviously the size is an issue, right? So do you think like a Devin Haney and Garcia, they're going to look like, oh, I can get in there with him. He's not going to put me down. Like, obviously they're going to think like maybe like we did, like maybe the power is overstated.
I think it's probably for a little bit of both to a degree.
Yeah.
Like this is one of those fights where for us, it's a great fight and there's so much we can take away from it. But if you're a sort of contemporary of these guys in the ring, right, you can absolutely look at this fight and see passive victory against both men now, right?
Yep.
Like, we always say, like, oh, you just rough up Loma like Salido and it'll work, but that's not how Lopez won this fight at all.
No.
So now we have multiple paths to beat Loma. And likewise, we saw a full 12 rounds of Lopez with a legit world level, pound for pound level guy where he lost rounds. So there's plenty of sort of tape that you said that Haney, Garcia, other people, George Kambosos Jr., not Hector Tanahara, that they can look at and view, maybe I can press Lopez. He doesn't do that well on the ropes, to be honest. Press Lopez against the ropes consistently. Maybe I take away that right hand. Yeah. Maybe take away the uppercut. Maybe I take away certain shots that he likes. Absolutely.
And he doesn't like getting hit. Like he definitely doesn't have a poker face when he takes damage.
He has a chin, right? But I think because of his sort of stance, because his chin is kind of tucked high, to be honest, it's not tucked in, it's kind of tucked high. His hands are low. He's going to react to shots from a sort of like physiological perspective more because his head snaps back more from just a sort of visual perspective. And that becomes quite obvious. It becomes, I think, like Tim Bradley mentioned this, I think in the 11th or 12th round, that body language is important. I'm actually surprised that Loma didn't win more rounds purely due to that in the round 7 to 11 because he clearly had the better body language of the two. Lopez clearly didn't like getting pressed as much as he did. He just adjusted to it in the end in the 12th round. But you're right that he didn't like it. That you're right. If a fighter like, let's say, Ryan Garcia somehow can press up, or Devontae Davis can press up Teofimo Lopez against the ropes, land combinations consistently, they could definitely take the fight out of Teofimo Lopez. That's a path to victory, per se. Absolutely. What do we want for Teofimo Lopez next? Do we want a rematch? Do we want him to fight? Who else? Who else does Top Rank have? George Kambosos? After he beats Lee Selby, right? Aren't they fighting?
I got Selby in that. I want a rematch, obviously. Other than that, I want him to fight Haney and then or go to 140. I mean, Haney's not ready for him, but I think that's the next best guy.
It'll suck if he goes to 140. And that's kind of my fear is like that he's already struggling to like stay at 135. Now he has all the belts and then he'll go to 140. And it's like, I would like to see those other guys get to test themselves against him and see like how good he is in the division.
First off, I don't think he's per se struggling to make the weight. Is it a hard weight cut? Probably, but he makes the weight. He's never had issues, never missed weight. He doesn't look gaunt at weigh-ins either. Like, like a Callum Smith, for example, at 168.
Maurice Hooker. Eric Morales. Remember Eric Morales?
Oh, my God. Yeah, there's certain people, like, you can tell the weight cut's bad. I don't see that with Teofimo Lopez. It might be a big weight cut, like we cut 20 pounds in training camp, but I don't think it's one of those where he is, per se, struggling. But I will say this. If he's not facing a Loma rematch, I don't mind him going to 140 because 140 is stacked with in-house fights that make sense too. Like if he fought Jose Ramirez, that would be awesome. If he fought Josh Taylor, those would be awesome fights.
Yeah.
Of course, do I want a Devin Haney or Ryan Garcia fight more because we want these young guys at lightweight to fight each other and have some sort of story here, some narrative here at this division? Absolutely.
Yeah.
But it's not one of those cases where if he goes to 140, there's less valuable names. There's actually more established names at 140 for him. So it might make sense in the short term to do that because Haney and Ryan Garcia are still kind of in the prospect stage in a lot of ways, even though Haney has a AOL email belt, right? Like he's still a prospect. He hasn't fought anyone of note. He hasn't fought a top 10, top 15 guy. Neither has Ryan Garcia. So I can see him moving up to fight somebody that's a little more established. I wouldn't be opposed to that.
I hope Haney and Teofimo Lopez see each other more than once, right? Like one's 23, one's 21, so they're roughly the same age. They're all world talents. They're both going to outgrow 135 at some point. They're both going to be welterweights at some point. So I hope they see each other now. In 5 years, they see each other, and in 10 years again, they see each other, right? So,
by the way, quickly, so somebody asked and you responded with the incorrect information. There is no rematch clause.
No, it was one way, wasn't it? It was only.
I just figured, yeah.
No, there was no. You're right.
There was no rematch clause for this fight, and I think that was actually specifically asked by both parties. To be honest, that this was one of those where winner takes all, and hey, that's it.
Good. Well, I mean, from the lead up into these fights, Loma has been talking about I can fight at 126, I can fight at 130, I can fight at 135. He keeps saying he can make those weights. It's almost like he's trying to work, like he's working his way out of 135. I swear, like he does not want to be at 135. I'm telling you guys, I don't see him fighting at 135 anymore.
Well, if that happens, I don't think it's because of the weight. I think it's because he doesn't want to face Teofimo Lopez in a rematch, and there's no real in-house fight for him at 135 that makes sense right now.
Yeah.
Well, let me ask you this: what's his best weight? I don't think anyone would say it's 135. It's 130. So why would he fight at his best weight?
That's what I'm saying.
Why are we saying it's 130? His best wins are not at 130; they're at 135. Am I wrong in that?
I mean, I think Gary's talking about dominance, right? Like he's talking about his ability to be a dominant fighter.
He was dominant against Jason Sosa, Miguel Mariaga, man. Like
Walters, who beat Donaire. Like, don't like.
But they were champions at 126, not 130.
It was 130.
No, that was 126.
Yeah, Walters was 126. But I think
126 is maybe an argument because he beat Gary Russell and Nicholas Walters there, of course. But he beat Jorge Linares and Luke Campbell and Jose Pedraza at 135. That's a good collection of wins. And I know, like, there's been an argument that, like, oh, he's really struggled in those fights. But, Fu, you've never accepted that argument.
No, I think he did fine.
Yeah.
I think he did fine in those fights. I've always said he's undersized, though. First thing he said when he went to 135, I said he's undersized. He doesn't have the right dimensions. He'll never go to 140. Because all these other people were like, he'll dominate 135. He'll take everyone. He'll go to 140. He's so skilled. I never believed that. Because to me, like, dimensions matter. Like, the range, like, he's getting hit almost a double percentage points on power punches from 130 to 135. He went from getting hit like 18% to like 30-something%.
Because he's facing time and time better opponents at 135.
Yeah, and taller opponents with better reach.
But
all of that.
What's more important? The fact that these guys are bigger or that they're better? And like not only better, but significantly better than his competition at 130. What's more important?
But I mean, look, it's both. To me, it's both. They're better. Like the 135 is a better division than 130. We definitely know that.
Which one's more important? It's both, but which one's more important?
If you're equally skilled, the more important thing is the other guy having better dimensions.
But Fu, are you saying that Jason Sosa and Miguel Mariaga are equally skilled to Jorge Linares?
No. What I'm saying is like Loma.
That's what I'm arguing here, Fu. Like let's not decontextualize these fights.
I already gave you that. I said 135 is a better division. It's a more talented division.
But Phil, you still haven't answered my question, okay? But we've already agreed that it's both size and skill. But which one is more important? And in Loma's specific case, okay, is it the fact that the 135 guys are bigger than the guys at 130, or the fact that they're exponentially better than his competition at 130 that leads to that increase in punches landed on him?
I think it's the size because Gary Russell didn't land like that on him.
Oh, come on. If Jason Sosa was a lightweight, he doesn't land 30% of his shots against. You know what I'm saying?
Sosa's not the same. Doesn't have the same dimensions.
But if you stretch Jason Sosa out into a full-blown lightweight, he doesn't land shots on Loma.
Okay, so yes, in that instance, if you're saying like if Jason Sosa was the same size as Jose Pedraza, then then it's the skill. But it's not. That's not the argument you're making. That's an argument in absurdum. It's like it's weird. Like they're not the same size.
But Fu, I've already conceded that size is a factor. Stop bringing up size as a factor. We've already conceded that.
I can't fight the size. I have to just get into your argument.
Let me finish. You just interrupted me. I let you finish this entire show, man. I've really tried not to interrupt you. Okay. I've said that size is not the most important factor. You said it is. When it comes to comparing these two respective title reigns, okay, it's clearly not. He fought inferior competition at 130 consistently. He's fought nothing but quality competition at 135.
Okay, definitely.
That is
I'll take it. All right.
the
The skill
size.
argument. Yeah.
That's more important than Linares being longer than Jason Sosa. No, Linares is exponentially better than Jason fucking Sosa.
Pedraza is exponentially better. Campbell is exponentially better.
That is going to lead to those guys at 135 landing more shots than the guys at 130. Not their size, though that is a factor. It's not the most important factor. Their skill set is. Their ability is.
$1 million Crawler is not, and he didn't land any shots.
Yeah, he did.
I forgot that 135 fight. You're right, Anthony. But I would say Anthony Corolla better than Jason Sosa.
And I don't know 90 to a Q. I don't know why it's such a hard argument to understand. Like, Loma's better at lower weights. He's going to be because the dimensions are different. And the skill set could still be good. Gary, look, let me just finish this point. Gary Russell landed less than 20% of all of his punches against Lomachenko. Less than 20%. And you're going to say Gary Russell is not as talented as Jorge Linares?
Ooh, Russell's the most
Gary
talented.
Russell Jr. had not won a belt at that point. So absolutely.
He had 20 fucking 5 fights at that time. Loma had 3.
Loma is also a Olympic medalist, and he's the one, Loma is the one that wanted to fight competition at that earlier stage. So let's stop saying that, Loma only had 3 fights. No, he fucking chose that. He chose the standard for himself. So let's stop using his own standard against him. That's fucking asinine. Let me finish. Also, Gary Russell Jr.'s only wins of note came after Loma, not before. Okay, stop that. Secondly, okay, sorry, third, okay, it doesn't matter because we're talking about 130 comparative to 135. And also, I'm not disputing that Loma might be more effective at 130 or 135. However, I am disputing that he is too undersized for the division. He won 3 belts in the division. He's not undersized. He can win here. He can absolutely deal with that disadvantage without an issue because he's done it time and time again. That's my argument. Okay.
And my argument is, does he want to? That's my thing.
Who cares
does he want to be there?
Who cares if he wants to?
That's what but that's my point is I don't think he is going to.
I'm not his shrink. I don't care if he wants to or not. I'm saying if he could or not. That's my own. I don't care about what he wants to do. We're not his shrink. We're not his coach. We don't know what he wants. What we can argue, because in our chair, our quarterback, Sunday chair, what we can argue is what he can do. And how we can argue that is from his record. And his record shows he can absolutely hang at 135 and beat up champions time and time and time again.
So the only one he can't beat at this point, at least, is Lopez.
And that was a close competitive fight.
Yeah. Maybe I'm overblowing this win. Maybe I am. Maybe I'm saying like, hey, I would think he would get beaten a rematch by Lopez. I think
you're downplaying the win, to be honest. You're not overplaying it. You're downplaying it because you're saying it's only due to size in a lot of ways. Not only. You're saying it's mostly due to size. That's downplaying the win for Lopez.
Sure, I guess. But I also have been more than willing to say Lopez had an amazing game plan. Lopez boxed his fucking ass off and was completely not given enough respect for his skill set because he was never able to show it. Everyone's always said it about Spence, right? It's like if somebody pushes him, he's going to show he doesn't just come forward. And he's not just a forward and backward fighter. He's going to show his lateral movement. He's going to show all of his boxing IQ. We've never had that really, I guess, right? Mm-hmm. Lopez got tested and he fucking came out and he showed out. He did a great job. I don't want to downplay Lopez. I think he is at this moment shown he deserves to be where he is. And at 23 years old, that's fucking a monstrous achievement at 23 years old. You just beat a guy that everyone considered a top 1 or 2 pound for pound guy, So, I mean, I don't want to downplay. I don't want anyone to think I'm downplaying Lopez. I think that I have been harsher on Vasily Lomachenko at 135 and the weight than a lot of people have because it doesn't seem natural for him. Like his wins are harder, like much harder, and he has a very small margin of error in these fights.
Well,
I
Compared to,
would
like,
say
lighter people.
he should go down to 130, and here's why. Right when Duran quit against Sugar Ray, his legacy took a beating. Right. And he had to come back and had to beat Iran Barkley to reprove himself. If he goes back down to 130 and beats Shakur Stevenson, he's back.
wasn't Iran Barkley at 154 though? Wasn't a division higher than the
So
Sugar
he
Ray?
went up a division. Yes, he did go up a division. What I'm saying is he has to go out and beat another young buck, right? He's got to go out there and beat another one of these blue chip unbeatable prospects. If he goes out and beats Shakur Stevenson, he's back. His legacy is untainted.
Yeah, but I bring it the argument then from Fu that he was too undersized for Shakur Stevenson. Because I mean that's what it sounds like, that since Tifim Lopez is 5'7" and has a 64-inch reach, he can't win fights. Come on, man. Like it is absolutely a diss on Tifim Lopez's performance to center the argument on size and on Loma being too undersized for the division. Generally speaking, he's not undersized for the division. There's plenty of guys that are his size in the division, and guess what? He is beating guys bigger than him time and time and time again. He just lost a fight. He got outboxed. That shit happens, you know. And
It does boxing.
And like I said, I think in a rematch, it's still. I think Loma's probably the favorite in that fight, a betting favorite.
Yeah, I want to know. Everyone,
people will look at rounds 8 and 11 and say, if he just started earlier, he can win the fight. You're going to get a lot of that coming out.
Iced if he starts earlier.
I think that'll be the excuse-making Loma fans, right? Like the excuse-making Loma fans are going to say, he shouldn't have lost that fight. They had a shit game plan, blah, blah, blah. That's not the truth. Like, you come into a fight and you fight scared for the entire fight, and then you have to push yourself in these rounds, and you've let him bank too much. And a young guy, here's the thing, right? He should have put it on Tio as early as possible, because you want to take his confidence away, because he's in a moment where he's never been before, right? It's not like you can let him use the first 5 rounds to get confident and put gloves on you, right? Because you're giving him what he needs. The feeling that he can compete with you in that ring. Like, you should have gone out and like showed that he couldn't, if that's what you could have done, but he couldn't because Lopez was so good. That's the thing.
Correct me if I'm wrong, Gary, because Santiago corrected us. That Iran Barkley fight was at 160.
I'm not going to argue with Santiago.
No.
Yeah, we won't argue with the Encyclopedia of Boxing.
That would be like if Loma, and correct me on this sort of metaphor here, because that was your era, or at least I think you were maybe alive then. Were you alive then, Gary?
No.
No, you weren't. Damn. Maybe Fu was. He's an old man tomorrow. It's Fu's birthday tomorrow, guys. Actually, technically today, huh? Fu.
Yes. Today, yeah, right now.
Hold on.
40 years old right now.
Let's get some fucking air horns for this motherfucker over here. The fucking Loma Stan.
What are you?
An idiot sandwich.
I'm sorry I had to do that because you're a Loma fan. Do I have the birthday soundbite? Hold on.
What's funny is, like, other people, like, everyone thought, you get emotional or whatever. Like, look, I'm not happy Loma lost. I love Loma. I think he's a great boxer. But it doesn't, like, it was a great fight. It wasn't pay-per-view. It's an intriguing thing now that this new guy has all these belts. We get to see, does a rematch happen? Because they didn't have a rematch clause. If I'm Lopez, I'd say fuck no, because I definitely could see myself losing the next fight if Loma comes out like he did in like certain rounds. But I think Lopez might be stupid enough to take a rematch. And I just don't know that Loma wants to be at 135. I don't see that desire. I see him talking about 126 and 130 a lot. 126 and 130 a lot.
There's more fights there. That's why.
I would have to say that Fu's probably absolutely right about that, because that was after Duran fought Hagler, so that was at 160. I don't think he would have went back down to 54 to fight Barkley. So that was probably Santiago's probably right about that. The Duran fight was probably at
did I finish my metaphor? No, because I started talking about Fu and his birthday. Okay, my metaphor. This would be like if Loma moved up to 147 and fought Jared Enos and knocked him out, right? That would be like sort of the comparison to Duran Barkley, right?
Yeah, well, Loma's not as great as Durant. I was just saying,
Okay.
you know. Yeah, I was just saying Loma's got to go get his legacy back by beating another young stud.
I don't think he needs to be a young guy. If he beats Miguel Burchell, he's fine. And his legacy's fine too. Like
Loma's still one of the best in the fucking game. Like
his legacy is fine, but will he be remembered as one of the best or top 2 or 3 of his era? Let's say post Floyd.
No, his era is really stacked too. I would say. Like, think about like how you're going to separate people like him, Roman Gonzalez, now in Inoue, who's still creating a legacy, Terrence Crawford. What happens if Usyk goes and starts running train on like the heavyweight division?
Which he will.
These are all factors now where like it's a stacked like top 7 pound for pound we have here. I don't think Loma's legacy per se is to be like the second best all time in his era. I don't even think that like he has to do that per se. His legacy probably is that he's one of the better lighter weight classes. He's one of the best fighters in the lighter weight classes of his era, and that's a great legacy to have for hardcores, and that's fine, right? The issue is he's also never really held down a division for a long time because he has a very limited career as well, so that hurts him to a degree. But
he couldn't get a lot of fights at 26. He couldn't get a lot of fights at 30, so he just kept moving up too quick because he's like, can't get the belts I want here. Let me go to this next weight. Can't get the belts I want here. Let me go to the next weight. Well, and 135. When you look easy to beat or easier to beat, people will take the fights. Like at 135, he looks human. People are like, I can get in the ring with him. 126 and 130, let's be real. He was fucking dominating everybody. No one stood a chance.
Well, at 126, he was running from the Santa Cruzes and the Maras. He didn't want any of that smoke. So he kept
God, get out of here.
I mean, is Gary wrong?
I think Gary is way wrong.
Do you have any?
I don't think Loma was running from anyone at 126. He moved up to 130 because he couldn't get any unification fights.
No, because there was no unification fights within the top rank stable for him. And to be fair, he did get a unification fight at 126. Nicholas Walters.
No, I don't think that was at 130.
Walters had to drop his belt.
I think it was 130.
Oh, yeah. He had to drop his belt, didn't he?
Yeah.
That's right. Damn, they did my boy Nicholas Walters dirty, man.
He was out of the game for a year. I mean,
look, 9 months. Yeah. It was 9
months. It was a long time. It's crazy to think that they've been out so long right now.
No, stop. It's 9 months. That's not that long. That's the average time span for fighters nowadays at the top. It's like 6 to 9 months. That's totally fine.
Yeah. That's another thing that's wild about this fight. Lopez looked that good after being out of the ring as long as he did. Like they've been out of the ring. Yeah, I think his last fight was like October of last year or something, right? Or
both November last year. It was my birthday.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, I mean, dude, that kid's special. Like, I can't wait to see what he does. Like, 140, I think is really interesting for him with like JC and,
Taylor,
fucking Taylor, Prograis.
If Prograis is still sort of a free agent, I know he has 1 fight with PBC, but it seems like he's either going to be a free agent, sort of go around, trying to get the biggest fights, or sign a big deal with someone. There's tons of fights for him. To be honest, like and plus, I don't know really if he can top out 147. I don't think he's truly that big. I think we sort of overrate how big and powerful Teofimo Lopez is. Like he's 5'8". Like that's.
I think he'd lose one of his biggest attributes, right? So if he goes up that high, he's going to lose a lot of his speed because he got to bulk up too much.
I'll be honest. I think he can stay at 135 for a while. Like I know you've been saying that. Oh, he's struggling at the weight. I don't see that. I think this would probably be the better division for him to stay here and create sort of a little legacy before he moves up to 140. Beat up these other young guys, so you're sort of the king of the young guys, and then move up. That's what I would do.
He wants to make sure Barrios is long gone before he goes to 140.
Stop.
I love it. Look, hey, the narrative is all over the place now because everybody said Lopez too young. Lopez hasn't had the quality fights needed to take this fight, all that. And he came out and dominated. So I wouldn't put it past like some of, this, like some of these guys taking fights earlier, because the thing, I don't know. It could go either way, man, because the fight's closer than I'm making it right now. I understand that, but I'm hurt right now, guys. Deep in my soul. It's my birthday.
The fight's close.
My favorite boxer just lost, guys.
The fight is close.
The fight wasn't that close. I'll be honest with you.
No, the fight was close, Gary.
I'll always shoot you straight. It wasn't that close. I mean, it wasn't like
Gary, it was fucking way closer than you. It
wasn't that close of a fight.
You're like going to the 9th round. I got Loma down 8-0. Like, what the fuck, Gary?
No, the
What's
8th
wrong with
round he
you?
definitely won. The 8th round and the 11th round, Loma definitely won. Every other round, he might not have won.
You're crazy. You're fucking crazy.
Guys,
That's like the Wilder people who are like, I had Wilder winning 11
I
rounds
picked
against Fury. Like, what the? Who the fuck
picked
scores
Loma
it
to
like
win.
that?
I said there's no way Lopez outboxes him.
Hold
I
on.
picked Loma.
There's no one on this planet that thought Deontay Wilder won 11 rounds against Fury. Stop. like
Name redacted probably did.
even the people that thought Wilder won the fight like me.
Yeah.
No, he won 7-5 in my scorecard. Like, there's no way. No, stop.
He didn't. He like that's what's crazy to me, man. Is like there are people like I scored the fight for Lopez. I think it could have gone 7-5, 8-4 if you give a swing round to Lopez, maybe on the 10th round, right? The 10th round, no, 9th round. We circled a swing round, right? So 9th round. You give him the 9th round as a swing round, it's 8-4, right? But if people 119, 109,
119, 109 is better than 114, 114.
it is not.
Yes,
114, 114 is you missed 2 rounds. The other one you
missed
8
one
rounds where you didn't give
what
Loma
one
anything.
119, 109. You missed the 8th. Every other round, Lopez might have won.
No, God no.
No, that's not.
God no.
No, he won more rounds than that.
119, 109 is criminal, dude. 119, 109 is like fucking shitting on the other guy that just fought his ass off. Like, I will say that about any fight. Like, if someone came out and said, Pedraza, it was 119, 109. No, it wasn't.
But
I scored that fight 8-4.
Hold on. Pedraza didn't. Oh, you're saying that if somebody scored the fight for Loma?
Yeah, 119, 109, I'd be like, fuck that. Like you're taking away all the good work Pedraza did. He won at least 3 to 4 rounds. You know? Like, and I'm a Loma stan. But I'm gonna score fairly. Like, Lopez won, but by like 2 or 3 rounds. Like, man, it's wild. 119, 109. That's just oh my god!
Because he won 2 rounds for sure. It's not that. It's not that atrocious of a scorecard.
It's really bad, Gary. The only thing that's worse than that is the Miguel Vasquez robbery that happened earlier in the day.
I'm gonna go back and watch.
I got it. Lopez is from Texas, or like a Texas fan, right? Gary, it makes sense now. It fucking makes sense now. Oh my god, it fucking makes. He wears Dallas Cowboy jerseys. He likes Jerry Jones. Gary's a fucking Texas shill.
He did wear a Dallas Cowboys jersey one time. So
when they fought in the Star in Frisco. But
he's now adopted Texan. That's just facts.
I picked Loma to win the fight. I was on this
and
show.
Then scored it atrociously.
2 days ago. I scored it like that. I scored it as conservatively as any of the judges did.
Gary, time out. You are agreeing with judges that you admit are
terrible.
I hope you understand how illogical and irrational.
Hey guys, these judges are fucking horrible, and I scored it the same.
I scored it the same as Cheatham, 116.
No. I understand that your scorecard was correct in terms of how the difference between the rounds, but you're arguing still for the bad scorecards from the bad judges that you have fully admitted they're awful judges. Fuck these judges, guillotine them. No, we should not.
I thought going into
the only argument here is 119, 109 is less wrong than 114, 114.
You're arguing for who is it?
Julie Letterman scored at 119.
Yeah, you're arguing for Julie Letterman.
You're saying the person who scored
it's
8
less
rounds
wrong than Andre Ward's card.
That's a really bad scorecard.
So is 114. Andre Ward's scorecard is really bad.
You got 2 swing rounds. You're saying that's missed by 2 swing rounds. That's it. That's not bad.
Well, then you can say that Drew Letterman is 2 rounds off, so therefore it's not bad. To be honest, if you're using that argument to play devil's advocate here, play moderator.
But the one way you're saying the other guy's work was meaningless. That's what you're saying. The 119, 109, you're saying this other guy did nothing.
I would say this:
different.
The 119 scorecard is indicative of the issue that we talk about, Gary, often, how a 10-9 round here and a 10-9 round over there are not equal.
Agreed.
Right?
Yep.
And Drew Letterman's scorecard is not indicative of how close, competitive, and fun, especially the second half of this fight was. Yeah. That is the argument. And it's overall an argument of how the 10-9 system is like deeply flawed. But also, like, that is still a bad scorecard, even with that sort of caveat, right? Like, 119 is still bad. You're saying that at the very least, Gary, you have to give Loma 2 rounds, and she still got that wrong. So your fail-safe red line, she still got wrong.
I said she still got wrong. Absolutely. I said there's no way you can score any less than 2 rounds for Loma.
So I don't think you should be arguing that, Andre Ward's card is worse because what was it, a draw? Card? Yeah. I don't think that that's a fair argument because fundamentally, the scorecard you're still defending is one that you think is deeply wrong.
I said it was wrong from the beginning, but there's no way. There's not 6 rounds you can argue Loma won. There's not. Those 6 rounds don't exist.
Hold on.
You could definitely. I think.
Hold on. It's not that hard. Okay. I just need to give one more round to Loma here. Okay. The 7th.
He didn't win the 7th. That was when he picked up. He lost.
What other round? What other round do we want to do? 5.
He outlanded him in the 7th, though.
The 5th.
I think in the 7th, he was at like 29% of his punches to 17%.
I'll go in the 5th then. Boom, done.
So you gave him 8, 9, 10, 11, and 5.
2, and 8 through 11.
You guys win the second round, man. He didn't win
here's
the
second
round.
He did win the second round.
The problem with early rounds, there's not enough output.
Julie Letterman didn't score for him.
Dude, most people gave Loma the second round. If you looked online, most people were giving Loma the second round. It seemed to be the consensus here.
Guys.
Not that there were people that had T.O. winning the round because it was a swing round. Right? That's the argument here, Gary.
It's tough early.
The argument, Gary, is that we can't find enough swing rounds to give Loma 6 rounds. That's what we're arguing here, right?
Yeah.
The argument is that the 2nd and 5th round are swing rounds as well. So you can theoretically even give Loma a victory then.
Let's put it like this.
7-5. That'd be a 2-round swing for him on my scorecard.
6. 8, 9, 10, 11, 2, and 5. So 6 is the most you can get him. If you give him every single swing round, including the second one.
Oh, you're right. Sorry, 6. Sorry, my bad. I miscounted there. Sorry, 6.
Oh, yeah. And look, Gary, Santiago says Letterman only gave him the second round.
Plot twist.
Going the 11th round.
Dude, that's so bad. See, Gary, you have to stop defending the scorecard here, man. You're looking like you're looking like you're fucking insane here, Gary.
Letterman didn't score the 11th. It looked like Loma was going to stop him in the 11th. Oh my god! Yo, that is the worst scoring card. That's the worst round ever scored in the history of boxing. That's the worst. Loma was dominating that round. Like, my boy Des Bryant said Lopez is done. Like, I was like, this is like the 8th round of the Anthony Yard and Kovalev. I was like, oh, this thing's gonna change all of a sudden. She scored that round.
No,
Lopez.
Jay in the chat. We're also giving the 5th round hypothetically in a swing round scenario. That's why we get the 6-6.
Yeah, okay. And look, rounds 1 through 4 in any fight are typically lower output, lower landed punches, and it's easy for 1 through 4 to be considered swing rounds. That's why people justified the Canelo draw when Triple G, I thought, clearly won the first fight, but the 1 through 4 rounds are very hard to score.
Canelo won that fight. Just want to remind you.
I know you believe that. And like, I believe he dominated the second fight. But like 1 through 4, you could score that however. You could have it 4-0 TO, you could have it 2-2, you could have it 3-1, and a lot of people are going to give you that because you're counting 2 landed punches in the first round for Tio as a win, and like 2 or 3 landed punches for Loma in the second round as a win. And so it can easily be a swing round, all of those first ones. But 8 through 11, you can't justify giving many rounds 8 through 11 to Lopez. If she gave the second one to Loma and none of 8 through 11 to Loma, get the fuck out of here. That's
the
crazy.
11th alone, you could maybe argue he won 10-8. It was that dominant of a round. Are you kidding me?
Yeah, are you still arguing that Andre Ward's scorecard is worse?
Well, not when you break it down by round. No, that's unbelievably bad. right? Like he didn't score the most clear. The 11th for Loma was more clear cut than the 12th for Lopez because Loma landed shots in the 12th. Lopez got destroyed in the 11th. Like that is so unbelievably bad.
Yeah.
It's not nepotism at all that she gets these fights. That's
no, it's not who she's related to.
I really thought, guys, that we were going into a draw with a rematch. That's what I thought. We were going into scorecards that were going to end in a draw. I thought it was that close. And I thought you never know what the judges are going to give credit for or not. And when I heard 119-109, I texted you guys. I said Lopez won. Because there's no way in the fucking world they would have scored 119-109 for Loma. And if they did, someone should have went to jail.
Yeah, the 119 scorecard for Loma would be far worse than 119 for Tifam Lopez, of course. But I think you're right. I heading into the scorecards, even after the 12th round, because I have a 7-5 for Tifam Lopez, I thought still there's enough swing rounds here. Loma's the champion here. I thought his work, especially in the second half of the fight, was really dominant, especially comparative to the first half of the fight, where it was a lot of gamemanship, so to speak, between the two. But no, it was wide. That was weird, to be honest. I was really shocked how wide the scorecards were for Tifam Lopez. That makes no sense other than the fact that these are notoriously awful judges, and it does track that their scorecards are bad for that reason.
Yeah.
That's right. Lisa Ciampa. Lisa Ciampa's worst scorecard is 114-114 Loma and Gary Russell Jr. Not a great card, not the worst card in the world. Right?
He dominated that fight. Dominated that fight, and she had it as a draw.
It was 8-4. Like he wasn't. No one dominated that fight. Okay,
8-4 is dominating against
what fight?
Loma and Gary Russell Jr.
I think I had it 9-3, and I was pretty. I don't ever give Loma a swing round.
That's Lisa Ciampa's worst card. And that was what 2014, 2013. That fight was so long ago, and she never gets cards wrong. That was her worst card, and it was a draw. A fight that she got wrong. I don't know why she doesn't get used more. But Steve Weisfeld, who's awful, and
dude, he's been around forever, man.
We know why. Yeah,
he's been around forever, man. Dude,
they need to go to more judges. Realistically, I think you could offset some of it by going to 5 judges.
I agree.
Right, or something, and but not that would have won Loma this fight, guys.
No.
Lopez dominated this fight. He really did everything he needed to do to win this fight.
Don't use the term dominate. He didn't dominate.
What I mean is, he was expected to get beaten badly if it went to the cards. And he showed he can fucking box as good or better than anyone else. He has a good IQ. He can weather the storm. And mentally, he's tough enough to go 12 rounds, and he has the stamina. So, no one expected that. He would not have won with 5 judges. Loma wouldn't have won if there was 5 judges. But the 119-109 card... that's fucking criminal. And really, even though Lopez won clearly, that shit needs to be talked about because that's a problem. Because there's other times where those cards decide the fight. It's a majority decision type thing, and someone's gave a 119-109 card, and you're there's no fucking way in the world that dude won that many rounds. No,
I agree. I think going to 5 judges is a nice little band-aid.
5 is good, and I would do it like they do in the gymnastics and the Olympics, and then you just get rid of the 2 most extreme cards and you go with the 3 in the middle, right? So that 119-109 card would just be discounted, and then on the other end would be discounted.
Oh, kind of
go with the 3 in the middle.
I see, kind of like they'll do in commission jobs sometimes, your best month and your worst month, and then you take the best 3 cards.
Yeah.
I can see that.
Is that 119-109 card? That should not be. That was not indicative of what happened in the fight at all. So that should be thrown out.
No, man, boxers suck at judging fights too, dude. Boxers suck at judging fights too. They don't do any better than normal people.
Talking to Jay in the chat. Yeah. I don't think that's a necessary solution per se, especially since boxers have just as much connections in the industry as boxing officials do, right? If we're worried about the connections judges have and nepotism and all those stuff playing into judging, we shouldn't have people that are innately involved in the sport in another sort of segment of it, another sort of side to the industry, also be involved in another aspect that should be the sort of independent judging of the fight.
And boxers are always going to have their own bias, right? Like Paulie Malignaggi are always going to score the fight for the boxer, always, because like he got robbed. Like, no, you're not counting my jab and my movement and my ring generalship, right? So it's like pitchers. When pitchers call a baseball game, they always love the big strike zone because I wanted that strike when I was pitching, right? So fighters are going to have that intrinsic kind of bias on what they like, what they did in the ring.
Yeah.
Honestly,
Yeah. So, sorry.
I was going to say quickly, like the real fixes for the sort of our system is that we need complete reform for our scoring criteria and how we weight systems and everything like that. We need a uniform system as well, since every state does have to some degree different sort of lenience on what they can utilize and such. And also we need like funding for training for these officials. Like I know that's like we're gonna get the funding and all that stuff. I get that, but this is a multi-million-dollar, if not billion-dollar industry. You can probably find the fucking funding somewhere.
And transparency in scoring. Let's give the score every round. Let's put the judges' scorecards up there. I don't like the not knowing. Like if I'm a fighter, I want to know if I'm being robbed at this point and how I need to continue through this fight, what I need to do, right? Because it's completely unfair for you to fight every fight the same way and win all of these decisions, and then you get these two other judges who don't like that you're more of a boxer and box off the back foot, counter punching, controlling the ring. And then they go, well, the other guy was moving forward the whole time. So 119, 109. What? Like that to me, like that would solve a lot of problems, because when you immediately get called to task, instead of being able to wait till the end, then you throw your card out there and then you're absolved of having to answer for that card at all in any way, shape or form. You don't get interviewed. They don't like, why did you give 8 through 11 to this guy? You know,
there's no accountability. Like Julie Letterman's not going to get a call from who's the leader of the Bob Bennett? Is Bob Bennett the head of the NSAC? Right? Isn't Bob Bennett still? She's not going to get a call from Bob Bennett. Like, why did you score this?
Still get a call from Bob Bennett for getting another job. What's the next big fight? Still get that one.
They should be interviewed after the fight. They should have to explain their card. Like it should be like just like anything else. Like, you know, you should have to go up there, and you should have to say, like, look, here's my scorecard. And then a media guy should be able to say, clearly, Loma won 8 through 11, or maybe 9 was a swing round. But overall, how the fuck do you justify giving all 4 of those rounds to this other guy? 119, 109. What is your scoring criteria? What did you see in those rounds? I want to know.
Because it is with the Nevada State Athletic Commission, so it is a public official. I should be able to question her. Me. She works for me, right? She's my public official. If I lived in, but whatever. Like, I'm going to sit you down, Julie Letterman, and we're going to discuss the scorecard. And you're not going to score anymore until you explain to me what you did in the 11th round. Let's just start there.
But we need more uniformed criteria in training for these judges, so we don't have to even do that, right? If everyone was pretty aware of how judging works and how every judge scores a fight, then, and if it was uniformed and such, and there was intense training for that, you know, a 12-week course, 6-week course, whatever it is, right? Then we really wouldn't need those arguments or those discussions per se, because we could just tell, look, the consensus is with all these 4 judges who have all had the same training as you, they scored it right, you didn't. So therefore, you're not going to get hired for these big cards. You're going to go down to the regional scene again, off TV. Like it's easy. Like it's not too hard. The issue is that the institutions we're talking about have no real incentive to change up their systems. That's why.
Yeah, because people just go on with it. And if you talk about scorecards, then it's an excuse or whatever, right? So
boxing media doesn't hold them to the fire. You're never going to see people like Ellie Seckback and Fight Hype and Fight Hub and all these fucking YouTubers like us, I guess, run down Bob Bennett and say, why are you always hiring people that are sons, daughters, wives, related to people that are promoters, like announcers, commentators, boxers? Like, why is there this rampant nepotism in this industry? Why is there no uniform training? Why is the ABC completely fragmented nowadays? Like, there's no real holding feet to the fire at all in this sport when it comes to the officials, people that control the sport at all from the media class. There's none.
Yeah. And for the boxer who gets screwed, you can contest the scorecards afterwards, but like it doesn't go anywhere.
No.
It's like talking shit about a ref who called a bad foul in a championship basketball game. Like, you just get fined for it. Like, or they might come out and say, yeah, we thought that was a bad call, but you already lost the championship. Who fucking cares? The other thing that I would like to see is like judges not be at the fight. Like, they should be given like multi angles of the fight on camera, but be away from the crowd, away from the commentators, and all of that, because all of that sways the way you score a fight as well.
I like that.
And I don't like that.
Like in a booth where they have it on all different angles, and I like that idea. I don't know how you do that in like regional. I mean, you could do it for a fight like this, but a regional club fight in a hall that holds 500 people. How do you do that? You know what I'm saying? I'm with that idea. I just don't know how you implement it.
Then you can just do it for TV cards.
I'm with that. I'm fine with that. Yeah.
You have the facilities in the arenas to do that. That's where it becomes the issue or the sort of line. And that's, again, like if there is if the ABC had any actual like, I don't know, like effect in the industry, right? When they have their yearly convention, whatever, and rule on the unified rules of boxing and MMA, they would talk about this stuff and rule on it, but they all hate each other and they all want to like run the ABC themselves. That's why you have like New Jersey with like coalitions with like Florida versus Texas and California. You get that all the time with the ABC conventions. It's fucking ridiculous.
Yeah.
Like I remember I know that you guys are boxing heads. I understand this is a boxing show right now, but it was about 3 or 4 years ago, there was a divide in the unified rules of MMA where literally there was a coalition of commission heads at the ABC convention that walked out and did not accept the new rules, the unified rules of MMA. Like that happened. Like that's why we have so many issues. All these states do their own shit.
Yeah. And I'll tell you guys the truth. Like I never watch a fight with the commentary on. I always have the sound off. Always. The first time my sound comes on is when they're announcing the scorecards at the end of the fight. Because I never want my score to be driven by the narrative of the station. If you're watching Showtime, there's a narrative, right? Like there's a certain fighter they want to win. If you're watching Matchroom and you're watching it on Sky Sports, there's a narrative. There's a guy they want to win. There's a guy that they'll like more. There's a vested interest in certain people winning, and that narrative drives all the commentators to the same kind of talking points. Where they overstate everything. I turn it all down and I watch the fight in silence and I try to judge it the best way I can without any outside influence.
And you get like HBO and Jim Lampley and Johnny Public, who watches 2 fights a year, thinks Tim Bradley was robbed when he got the decision over Pacquiao because Jim Lampley said so. It's like, guys, that fight was so close, right? Like every round of that fight was so close. But HBO told me that Pacquiao won all the rounds, so therefore he won all the rounds. It's like, that's what Jim Lampley said. Because my wife was watching it. We were just married at the time. And my wife like laughing, like, am I watching the same fight as these guys? It's like, this is just the way they are. Like,
we have to move on for the sake of time. We've really been on for an hour and a half, and we have a lot to get to as well. Let's, as briefly as we can now, talk about the undercard. Alex Salcedo losing to Honor Barboza Jr. via was it unanimous decision? Yes, it was. I thought it was a closer fight though than the judges gave it. Josue Vargas defeated Kendo Castaneda in a really dominant performance. I'll be honest, that was really shocking there. Edgar Berlanga got another first round TKO and a kind of an early stoppage in a whatever fight. And there were overall, I thought the undercard was pretty decent in terms of the other fights as well. Guys, any quick thoughts on the top rank undercard? I know Gary maybe want to defend Kendo for getting completely outboxed, and honestly, it was just like the athleticism of Josue Vargas was like significantly, exponentially better.
Yeah,
than Kendo Castaneda. That was
different. I mean, the different hand speed was night and day. Josue Vargas is. I look forward to seeing him again because Kendo fought Pedraza tight, and he did not fight Josue Vargas tight. So we'll see. Vargas was a guy he fought in the bubble, I don't know, back in the summer, and he looked okay. I mean, I was not expecting this.
No. This was good.
And then you guys want to talk about Berlanga? What do we make of this?
I just want to say I think Vargas is getting much better every fight. Defensively, he's getting better every fight. And then it seems like he's really starting to come into his own on his style that he fights. So I think we're just starting to see kind of like the rise of Vargas as like a really top talent.
Yeah, he'd be a perennial like top 15, top 20 guy.
Talking about yelling at your television, I was yelling at my television. Kendall, let your hands go. Let your hands go. Let your hands go.
Dude, but Vargas kept turning him and just was unloading combinations, man. Like that was really impressive from Jose Vargas. That was his best win and best performance in his career by far. But in terms of Edgar Berlanga, I didn't see much in him. I don't know what to think of him, to be honest. Like he's fighting people that we don't know. Largely speaking, I know Lionel Bellows was a Mayweather Promotions guy, but he's somebody that has just taken a lot of L's via decision, and he got knocked out, and kind of again an early stoppage, in my opinion, in the first round with Edgar Berlanga. So what can I make of him? Like his offense is good, but we see a minute and a half of it. So I don't know.
He's never gone past the first round.
I don't know.
I mean, what's going to happen when he gets in there with somebody who takes him further in the first round? Like that's where we're going to see it.
I felt that this guy was supposed to be able to take him. Like I feel like the first 14 fights were supposed to get knocked out in the first round. I thought that this guy, if nothing else, was supposed to not get knocked out in the first round.
No, he'd never been stopped. I don't think he'd ever been stopped, right?
Yeah. No. So that's impressive, I guess. But again, like I don't know if is he like the light heavyweight Mike Tyson that we should be talking about? I don't know. Like, I don't really get that vibe per se. Like, I think offensively he has a good shot selection. Obviously he has good pop. I do think that he does get a little bit overzealous, but he's trying to go for knockouts in the first round. Of course, he's overzealous. I can't really make anything of his defense at this point in time because he hasn't been hit with anything. Like, no one's really fired back at him. It's a lot of question marks still. I think offensively there's a lot to like from what we've seen, but the complete package, we don't know yet. We don't know what he is in terms of a complete fighter. So it's still wait and see for me, to be honest. I'm not sold on Edgar Berlanga, but I'm not saying that he's like completely overhyped because let's be honest, it's just like the top ranked Twitter account talking about him. Like no one else is talking about Edgar Berlanga. Like it's not like the entire world's talking about this guy and like it's undeserved. Top rank is trying to hype him up. And like all of us are like, we don't see it yet. So I'm not too against whatever hype he has because whatever hype he has is not too overblown at this point.
Yeah, it's crazy to me. You look at like Tio, right? He's got like 16 fights. Now he's, fought for all the belts and knocked Comey out in 2 rounds. And it's like, you're not overhyping this guy anymore. He is fucking as good as everyone said, right? But Berlanga's like 14 fights in and has never fought like for anything real or been tested at all. So I don't know. I'm never a fan of hyping up like the Wilder like 40 fucking fights before there's like real challenges in your resume somewhere is weird to me. Like, you could get knockouts every round for 40 fights if you fight all shit competition.
Like Thomas Patrick Ward fighting 29 fights against nobody and then having a draw against Thomas Isamba.
I haven't seen that fight. I got to go back and watch it. What about like Berlanga? Who would you want to see him fight next? Like a Dennis Duggan type of guy, someone who. I went on Box Trick trying to find a name that I would like. Maybe was Mama's Boy, right? Isn't that his nickname? Yeah.
Maybe. I mean, he's always been like that sort of guy to a degree. What's clear is that I don't know what to make him. Like, I don't know if we should fast track him against a top 30 or 40 guy. I don't know if we need to face a guy like, honestly, that's probably the best name you called out right there. Is probably Mama's Boy. He might be the, because like even like veterans like Isaac Chalemba, you're not gonna put him in there. Blake Caparello, like somebody that we've seen before to a degree. I don't know. Nothing really wows me in terms of like this is the next fight for him. Because honestly, the division is top heavy to a degree as well.
Ronald Ellis,
Shawnee Monahan, right? That guy.
He's done. I think he quit.
Oh, did he retire?
He got beat up so bad by who was it? His last fight, he got beat up. Caleb Johnson, maybe. He got beat up so bad.
Samuel Clarkson.
Yeah. Let's do that. That's my boy. Greg Cohen owes the money.
there's not much that I go and like, oh, this is the guy. But anyways, did Shawnee Mine really retire? I gotta check that. No, he fought 2019.
Yeah, he fought, and he lost to Caleb Johnson. Wait, who did he lose to? Caleb Johnson, right?
Yeah.
He got destroyed. I think he's done. That was on the Hooker. That was on Joe Smith and Bivol.
It says he's active on Box Track. I'm just gonna say
Then maybe he's active still.
but digressing, guys. Any other thoughts on the Top Rank card? No. Let's briefly talk about the Matchroom card. Because I think we at least all saw the main event of Lewis Ritson defeating Miguel Vasquez via split decision. That was one of the worst scorecards of the year.
Boredom.
It was honestly not the greatest fight, and B, it was just Miguel Vasquez on the back foot, outboxing Lewis Ritson round after round after round. Lewis Ritson could not cut off the ring to save his life. I know that two judges, and Gary thought Lewis Ritson won the fight. So, Gary, I'm going to give you the floor here to try to explain how you thought Lewis Ritson won this fight.
I thought in the middle round specifically that Lewis Ritson basically ran the table over all of the middle rounds, landing better power shots. I thought his power shots, his right hand carried the rounds in rounds where Vasquez landed some jabs here and there, and they weren't like one-sided rounds, which I thought Ritson, were clear rounds. I just thought his power shots and his pressure kind of carried the rounds, and I gave him round after round after round in the middle rounds. I thought the first rounds were close, and then I thought Vasquez won the last two. But I thought, like, in between, I kind of gave every single round. I knew the scorecards were going to be wide because you could make an argument. That's why I asked y'all what y'all had, and you laughed at me. Well, you just gave the rounds the other way, which means you gave all the rounds to Vasquez, which, like, I got to go back and watch it. I wasn't scoring it that closely because, like Foogatti said, it was tough to watch.
For the record, Rob, who's obviously asleep right now in the UK, Rob even was like, "No, man, Ritson did not win that fight." Yeah, so that was even shocking. I went in the group chat with, like, I think a side eye emoji, and I was just waiting to see what the response was from Rob, and then Rob fully agreed with me, so I was on board.
I thought after 12 rounds, I thought Ritson had done enough to win. I thought it was close though, right? Like I thought like this could go kind of either way. Did you didn't listen to the commentary, did you, Matt?
No.
They were asking if Ritson threw a shutout.
Oh, wow. Dude, like, seriously?
I didn't see a fight like that, and that's why I was asking questions. Like, I thought this fight was close, and then they were shocked at the judge that had it for Vasquez, and then I saw, like, the first tweet I saw on my phone was from Asian Boxing, and they were asking the same question you were, where it's like, are you kidding me? Like, it was 117, 111 Ritson. That's why I was asking, because I thought the fight was, I felt like Mosley and De La Hoya too, where whoever you asked, right, every other scorecard was ridiculous, right? Like, I didn't, like, I thought Ritson won the fight. I thought he did enough to win the fight. But, like,
I didn't see him do anything to even win a round for 6 rounds. Like, I legitimately fell asleep because I was like, Ritson looks like dog shit. He can't cut the ring off. Vasquez is having his way with him. And I was just like, what is he going to do? I've never been hyped on Ritson, though, so I guess I am maybe kind of a hater, but.
I'll put it this way. Ritson tried more in the Loma for those 6 rounds, right? But his attempts were completely futile because anytime he pressed forward, Vasquez literally just went doo-doo and just circled out.
They hit him with multiple shots.
The commentator said he's not ready for Prograis or Taylor yet, but maybe Postal. What they were saying.
Stop, dude.
No, they were. I promise you.
Ritson.
Ritson needs to stay. Dude, he couldn't beat, even though he didn't beat old man Miguel Vasquez, for fuck's sake, okay? He cannot be at the European level, let alone like the world level. Like,
they said that.
He still gave Taylor his toughest fight, like one of his toughest fights.
Progress did more, but yes.
Yeah. Oh, I mean, that's expected.
Absolutely, yes. One of, absolutely.
Yeah.
And also, I mean, let's be honest here. Ritson belongs not as a main eventer. He belongs as a fun mid-card guy on big cards.
Are they still calling him the Sandman?
Yeah, I guess so.
Dude.
I don't know why.
He's got the coolest gloves.
Fucking appropriately named because I fall asleep every fight. Like, I am out like a light. It is boring as shit. Not interested.
It was like
Matchroom's got to figure something out.
I was at the store and they sell this thing called a Laura bar. It's kind of boring and bland. Like, it doesn't really, not very exciting.
Yeah.
Like, that's
Laura's way more entertaining, especially in his late career. He's getting way more entertaining in his later career.
Yeah, he is. He is.
Dude, that was. I'll be honest. The undercard of the matchroom event was really entertaining. Like I'm trying to remember what the fight was.
The Leech fight was good. Leech.
Yeah, that was a good fight. Leech. Oh God.
That
was a good fight.
Ass fat. Yeah.
Yeah.
There's also another fight. I think it was. Was it the Joe Law? No, it wasn't that fight. It might have been the Ellie Scourtney fight. It was one of the other fights. Oh, it was the Kane Baker fight, maybe. No, I forget which one. I don't remember which one it was. But one of them was a really fun undercard fight where both guys were getting knockdowns and it was fun. Even the fights that we mentioned, like they were all pretty much fun, competitive, domestic fights. That main event, though, was trash. That was really bad. And it's because Miguel Vasquez, when he's like winning, is always in bad fights.
Is there a top 10 guy at 140 you think Ritson could even beat? No, I don't think.
10? No, different level, bro. No.
Well,
top 15?
I got the ranking. Hold on. I got the ranking right now. Hold up. Let's go through it.
Yeah.
Box rec. Hey, number 1, Josh Taylor.
Yeah.
Jose Carlos Ramirez.
No.
Jose Cepeda.
No.
Regis Prograis. No. Jose Pedraza. Nope. No. Arnold Barboza Jr., who fought tonight as well.
Oh, they have him at 6. That's absurd. Oh, boy.
Damn, that's really highly ranked.
Yeah, that's ridiculous.
He's good. He's easily hittable, and yeah.
Yeah, he's way better than Ritson, though.
No, way
better than Ritson, yeah.
Of course. Victor Postal. Robert Easter Jr.
No.
Mario Barrios.
No.
Ivan Branchik. Nope. Terry Flanagan. Nope. Jack Catterall. Nope. O'Hara Davis. Nope. Rances Bartholomew. Nope. Malik Hawkins.
Hawkins is good.
I like Malik Hawkins, but I don't think he should be at 15. But
that's a ridiculous rating for him too.
That's ridiculous. That makes no sense. But no, he beats up him. Argenis Mendez, like old man Mendez, beats him up. Maybe this would be an interesting domestic fight since he just took a loss. Like Tyron McKenna. I think he's on the BT Frank Warren side, but like. That would make more sense, I guess. Okay. Lewis Ritson is ranked number 24 on BoxRec. He's behind Pablo Cesar Cano.
That's a good fight. Let's do that. That's fun. That's a fun fight.
Cano knocks him out. And ahead of Chris Algieri. Chris Algieri outboxed him.
Ritson's just in this weird spot where like he doesn't have the power at 140 and he doesn't have like the boxing ability. Like he can't cut the ring off well enough. He doesn't have really good angles. Like it's just weird. Like I don't know what he's gonna do.
He should fight either Pablo Cesar Cano or Cletus Selden. That's the level that he's at. Those are fun fights. Like you said, they're mid cards. They're good for. They're fun fights.
Like it should be on a card opener, pay-per-view opener for AJ.
Yeah.
Or for Katie Taylor. Like that's kind of how I view where like Ritson is at. He's a domestic guy. Maybe have him fight like that quasi world level people, but
Ricky Burns. What weight class is Ricky Burns fight at now?
135, I think. But
I'll bring him up to 140.
You can move up. But again, like he doesn't win any of these fights. Like
what's his last good win?
Even the fights we give him, like Pablo Cesar Cano, Chris Algieri, Ricky Burns, he doesn't win these fights. What was his last good fight? Let me see.
Highland and.
Yeah, William Phillips, you're late to the game show, buddy. Yeah, we know. Well, that's an hour ago. We talked about that. Hour and 30 minutes ago.
Paul Highland Jr. is probably his best win. To be honest, he
was promoted by Snooki. That's his claim to fame.
Wait, the Jersey Shore person?
Yeah.
No,
oh my God,
that's not true.
That is absolutely true. I have a shirt in my room that my wife got me.
Oh my word!
Not anymore. It went bankrupt. It went belly up.
Paul Highland Jr.
Both brothers were. There were two brothers. Paul Highland and there was another brother.
They're on like Geordie Shore, which is like the UK spinoff.
Is that a joke or is that real?
No, that's a real show, Gary.
No, they were both.
Hold on. Have you not seen Geordie Shore?
I've never seen it.
Dude, oh my God. Go on YouTube after the show tomorrow. Just like type in Geordie, like Georgia almost, but Geordie with the D. Geordie Shore. And it is, oh my God. I remember when I was in the UK for a couple times, that was on, and we would watch it, and it was the worst reality TV show garbage you've ever seen. But it's amazing because it's all like the orange spray tan Brits with the super tight clothes with the like steroid muscles, like that, those Brits, right? Oh, it's so good. So entertaining.
That sounds amazing.
It's like the worst garbage TV you've ever seen. But digressing. Is that it for like boxing talk, guys? Any other thoughts on the cards?
I think I didn't get to see the MMA stuff. I got to go watch it. I'm so sorry, buddy. I wanted to see this fight really bad
I'll
too.
briefly talk about. I'll only briefly talk about 2 fights, then we're gonna head out. Okay, don't worry. I won't take long. Brian Ortega looked sharp. He completely changed up his training camp, switched out all of his coaches, and took a 2-year layoff. He came back, looked completely different. Shot selection was on point. He beat up Korean Zombie, and again, his skill set was drastically improved. Amazing to see, and honestly, completely shocking. And Jessica Andrade beat up Caitlin Stragogan, and Jessica Andrade is amazingly awesome and beautiful and talented. Shout out to her. And she beat Thug Rose and was robbed. Anyways, guys, that's going to be it for tonight's show. I know maybe Jay Prodigy in the chat wanted more MMA talk, but that's really all I had to say.
Jay, we'll get back to it. I'll get back to doing some MMA stuff with Matt. I love watching UFC fights, like some of the other stuff's all right too, but usually like the UFC stuff I like more. And I really like Brian Ortega. I think he's a super cool guy. He seems like a very, very good dude, and is always like great when he wins and great when he loses. Like he's like one of the best sportsmen.
His videos with his little brother are adorable, by the way. I just want to point that out. They have a very close relationship. It's really cool. But yeah, I mean, that was really impressive to see him improve. Again, with the 2-year layoff off of his first career loss, all new trainers, like the entire deck is stacked against you. You're going in there in a title eliminator too. And he won the fight. That was just really impressive. And again, beat up Korean Zombie, like knocked him down numerous times with beautiful left hooks, some spinning elbows, some really good shots from Brian Ortega. But anyways, guys, I'm Matt, the Hipster Hunter. Find me at all social media platforms right there, Matt Hunter MCR. Link is below in the description. What, Gary?
Did he do the flying elbow kick from the top turnbuckle?
Yes, he did that.
Flying elbow kick?
You don't know.
That was Mayweather, right? No, it was Wilder. Yeah, yeah.
Who knows?
That's right. I forgot about that. That's such a good one. Rob has that soundbite somewhere. Have a great night, great evening, everyone. Remember at all times, fuck the police and free Palestine, and share the show. Guys, final thoughts so that people know where to find you. Gary?
Find me all forms of social media at 3D Boxing, 3D Boxing blog. That fight was not that close. Lopez won 8 or maybe even 9 rounds. You could give him 10.
Lopez won 12 rounds, guys.
13 rounds.
Boxing Clinic.
Including the 11th. From Texas to the world, thank you, and God bless.
Foo.
Don't find me anywhere because I know you motherfuckers about to talk some mad shit to me, okay? So don't even find at Foogatti MCR. Give me all the shit you want to talk. Loma lost, and I deserve it. Come send some fucking hate my way.
The link is below in the description to Foogatti's Twitter account. Just saying, if anyone wants to go shit on him, you can go do it very easily. Just scroll down, click on the link. It's right there. I need to put Gary and Rob's Twitter info in that description. But anyways, guys, have a great night, great evening. Like I said, stay safe out there. And shout out to The Takeover. Peace.